So in our closing moments, had some surprises, had some letdowns. We'll start with the Mora. This thing actually did surprisingly well once we got through all of the little letdowns, the edge, the tip. It didn't do so well against bone, and I sort of expected that because it was stainless and I really prefer carbon. But, being a stainless steel and how much abuse we put on it, it really did hold its own. Especially with the lateral strength tests, I was honestly impressed. This Winchester didn't survive the basic tip test, didn't survive the bone cutting test. Well, stick to your guns. The Glock, the 81, the Austrian field knife. This one underwent the most abuse today, and despite having lost a few of its assets, it really shined. I think it did good in edge retention tests, the chopping test against bone, the stabbing against bone. Even after we snapped the very tip off, well, a little bit more than just the very tip, the rest of the tip survived pretty well against lateral strength tests. The saw surprised me. Actually catches the finger still. I feel some needle-like points on there after all the sawing we did, which I was surprised of because it's such a low wear-resistant steel. The only thing it didn't survive was the Busse, the Scrapyard. But the Scrapyard didn't survive either. So, there's that. Scrapyard. Now, the first day I had this $300 machete, I tested it. I took it against a deck screw, just one chop, and that deck screw put a chip in the edge, about as deep as this one here, maybe a little bit wider across. To be fair, the machete cut about halfway through the deck screw. Tried it right afterward with an Essie machete, their L-Stat, and it did not even break the surface. It scratched a little bit of the paint off the deck screw, but that was it. After some research, I found out deck screws are case hardened, meaning their exterior shell hardened to anywhere about from like 70, I think it was about 70 on the HRC, which is significantly higher on the Rockwell hardness scale than most knives ever come. So, I thought, my bad, user error. I shouldn't have attacked such a hard piece of metal with this. I'd heard stories of people battening through a K-bar with one of these, or I've seen videos of people cutting cars in half with the bone hawk. I don't know. I watched a video of the guy who cut up a different machete he had with one of these, but then again, maybe user error on my part. Machetes are usually softer than knives. But I was so disappointed to see the Busse's SR101, their modified 52-100 ball bearing steel, take such damage from such a low carbon, low carbide, low wear resistant metal. Don't get me wrong, they both have seen better days. I just expected more out of these guys. Oh well, you live and you learn. Maybe it got a bum heat treatment. Maybe it's a fake. Got it on eBay. I will definitely send it in. After the first chip I got against the screw, I sent it in and it looked like they just sharpened it right out. There's kind of a specific marking down here that let me know that before and after I sent it in that they didn't replace it, but rather repaired it. So we'll see what they do with this one. The cold steel actually survived the bone test pretty damn well. And with, again, like the Glock, it's 1055, a really low wear resistant metal. But it proved to have good edge stability still, and I think that was the shock absorption of a low resistant, or of a low carbon steel really shining through right there. Because the shock absorption, the impact absorption, sort of translates to a more stable edge. I mean, you can skip a lot of words and scientific explanations and just leave it at that. The more shock absorption, the better it'll hold an edge against chopping type chores. Noticed with the British military machete along similar lines, seemed a little more likely to chip, but just a little bit. Inversely, it held an edge a little bit better, and I think it would as far as cutting chores go rather than chopping chores. The Collins did pretty well too. Not as well as I had hoped, but you know, the old myth of the blade needing to hold an edge forever, equaling it or equating to its overall quality is sort of why I think people loved Collins so much, because they probably didn't chip or break as much as a brittle machete that would hold an edge would, but still inversely more than something I would prefer, like the Tramontina. This thing was just bulletproof today. Proud of you, Tammy. Well, this one was the bulletproof one. Alright, that sort of sums up my review. Thanks.